So basically it's a session on Gita. So I'll start with one of the Gita verses. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishnaha, Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha, Tatra Shri Vijayobhutir Dhruvanitir Matirmama. So here we have with us two distinguished delegates, Srimati Harini Pagadal, who is a renowned Upanyasam artist, author and founder of Vijayamala Adhyatma Gurukulam based in Kurnool. Originally from Srirangam, Tamil Nadu, she is proficient in Kannada, Tamil, Telugu, Hindi and English. Harini specializes in Ramayana, Dasa Sahitya and Bhagavata, and has delivered Upanyasams in various prestigious sabhas, earning her the Madhva Vijaya Prashanti Award. Under her leadership, Vijayamala Gurukulam has grown to include over 300 students across India, promoting traditional values and spiritual growth. Welcome, ma'am. We also have with us Ashris Choudhury, who is the creator behind India in Pixels, a YouTube channel with 670,000 plus subscribers, known for data visualizations, exploring Indian history, culture and ancient texts. With a background in architecture, he bridges scholarly rigor with visual storytelling. His ongoing Vedic series covering the Rigveda, Atharvaveda and Yajurveda draws directly from the Sanskrit sources to make ancient wisdom accessible. His work on topics ranging from the Manusmriti to temple architecture has sparked both academic and public discourses. Based in India, he works across English and Hindi, specializing in primary source research, data journalism, and the intersection of tradition and technology. Welcome, Mr. Ashish. So, we are gathered here to talk about Gita for Gen Z. In other words, Gita has a triadic philosophy called action, devotion, and wisdom. Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. So, how does this Gita, which was delivered to Arjuna by Krishna and documented by Vedavyasa in Mahabharata, that's millennia ago, still holds relevance, pertinence in today's world? So, how this transgenerational dialogue holds some sort of relevance in the 21st century? So, we are going to ask these two distinguished guests and seek their responses. Let's start with Vidushi Harini Pagadal. So, it's true that we are in a crux of overload of information and work burns and a lot of stresses which induces certain psychological and psychiatric disorders like ADHD, OCD and others. When the modern psychology or psychiatry looks at these issues as behavioral disorders and require clinical intervention, whereas Bhagavad Gita, Vedantic psychology, looks at it as a work of Gunatraya, an external influence over an individual's behavior. So, how do you see the Gita's method of Chitta Shuddhi, purification of consciousness, is not merely a religious ritual but a behavioral therapy? This is question one. Further, Vedas, Gita, all these are considered as some sort of mantric capsules, okay, and they have a way to deal with an individual's biochemical feelings, responses, moods and so on. So how do these Gita recitations have an impact on an individual's performance, behavior and so on?
audible. Yes? Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. So, very nice question. So I hope there are 3 questions within the 2 questions that you asked. So let me first decode it. The first one was ADHD and restlessness, which is restlessness and anxiety. So all these are termed as some sort of disease as per the general medicine. But Gita sees it in a very different way. Now let me first decode this. See, be it any psychological problem, I do think that the root cause of the problem should be removed to eradicate the problem completely. Many a times, be it a medical counseling of today or be it any antidepressants that is given by the doctor, it just makes the person relieve of the suffering so that he can find time, so that he can find happiness even with the problem that he has. But that is actually not the solution, right? The correct solution should be how to remove the root cause of the problem. Now we'll take an example of be it any disease, any mental condition, which is of a depression. We'll take it. What is the root cause of a depression? It is first a desire, an unwanted desire, or a desire that exceeds the limit of that man or a woman. And that desire leads to expectations. When the expectations are not met, then that expectations leads to anxiety, restlessness. This anxiety then leads to frustration and depression. So where our cycle begins? It begins with a desire, expectation. I don't say that desire is wrong. I never say that. Even Bhimasena has said desire, kama is one of the best among the 4 purushartha. So I don't say that desire is wrong. But having a desire that will not meet the expectations, then that is the root cause of all the psychological issues that may arise today. So what does Gita say now? We'll come to Gita. Gita talks of 2 things. One that Sir mentioned, which was Gunatraya. The Sattvika Guna, Sattva Guna, Rajo Guna, Tamo Guna. So when an imbalance happens in all these 3 gunas, then that is when any one expectation comes out. For example, an excess of Rajo Guna means an excess of unwanted desire which happens in our mind. An excess of Tamo Guna, that is laziness. One of the prime factor of every possible problem that a man can have. So now what is the solution? That also Gita itself says. No, we have to here increase the Sattva Guna in us, which is not some mission that we have like volume mission, something they can increase the volume and amplify the volume. We can't do it for something in our mind. But we can make changes in the way we think so that we can increase the Sattva Guna. For example, Gita advises of the Nishkama Yoga, Nishkama Karma, which means do not expect anything. But Gita doesn't advise us to expect nothing. Gita says us, believe in the work, but not on the expectation. See, a proper karma yogi, there is this difference. A proper karma yogi will be very much satisfied by the work itself. He will be so satisfied by the way he works, by the way he acts, that he will not be in a position to expect for the results. But of course, the consequences he knows may be good or may be bad. But he will be in such a state. Now, if we remember Gita, if we try to accommodate the values given in Gita in our daily life, then definitely we'll try to concentrate on the work we have rather than thinking of the result. So that automatically the concept of desire that will arise in our mind, desire will arise in our mind. It is not something that may arise, it is something that will arise in our mind. But even if the desire arises, we can control the expectations that proceeds forward after the desire. And this way we can definitely have in control all the mental conditions that today's people, we all face, including me. Say, I recently met a small child. Through our Gurukula, I met a small child. She's studying in UKG. She didn't attend the class for a week. I asked her why. You know what she said? She said, I'm very stressful for the past week. It was very stressful. I asked her, what is the reason behind your stress? Is your exams going on? Is something is happening? What is happening? Is some problem is there in your house? You can talk with me freely. She didn't answer in the class. But then afterwards she met me and told, it's not that. It's because I dress in a particular way or I sit in a particular way. But some of my friends have talked with me, are not talking with me, and because of that I feel omitted in the class and I feel very stressful about it. So there are a lot of very small things which affect us. Because we search for validation, because we search for that, these are all our expectations. We expect the people to validate us. We expect someone to accept us. But when the expectations itself is brought down, then the root cause of all the problems will definitely come down. I know this is not easy. Saying this sitting here is very easy. But controlling something, expecting is very difficult. I always feel Gita as some North Pole. When you are roaming in the ocean in a complete dark pitch ocean, where your ship doesn't have any compass and all, you have the North Pole, so you will get guided by the light and go. You definitely know that the North Pole is not the right direction, but at least you know that this is the North. This is how you have to go, you have to find a direction. Let's not take all together at once and try to leave the expectations. Let's not try to be a sadhu. But let's just remember the points, the values that Gita says in our mind. At least at times when we think that all these extra desires or expectations arise in our mind. Because these expectations will then definitely cause anxiety and then cause restlessness to us. So at those times, at least if we remember these words of Gita, then that is enough. We can definitely try to avoid all the medical conditions that today arise, because this is how the root cause of the conditions can be cured and not by any antidepressants.
Thank you. It was interesting to see how Gita's principles could be seen from the perspective of Psychology 101, like step-by-step guide for how people they could lead their life. Now let's move to Mr. Ashris Choudhury, who works with a lot of data and data visualizations and visual narratives and so on. So I have this peculiar thought, because we are discussing Gita. When Arjuna could not understand what's Krishna speaking about, then Krishna showed his Vishwarupa Darshana, where he could present the past, present and future together, simultaneously. Arjuna calls it a terror-inducing form. So he says it's so scary that he is unable to see anything. How, when you are dealing with multiple vast data set, how do you, what's your journey of visualizing these data into narratives? Do you think it's somewhere it resembles with Gita's Vishwarupa? Mm-hmm. Further, I want to ask you this question, is that today we are obsessed with simulation hypothesis. So when you build these digital worlds or these VR experiences, which I could say it's a sub-creation that mirrors Vishwarupa, so do you think that this virtual reality, does it bring closer to the enigmatic nature of the world, or does it somewhere traps us into the delusional nature of the world as well?
Ellarukku namaskara. I will probably admit from the very start that I'm not as learned as both my panelists here. In fact, like I probably got into Gita from a data analyst perspective. For me, the scriptures were just data. and I wanted to see what patterns comes out of it. And maybe my inexperience will be relatable to a lot of Gen Z who have like so much of, information and we don't know where to start. So maybe from my attempt to learn it on my own, it might have flaws, it might have like things, but it's my attempt to sort of connect with my own heritage and, literature essentially. I'll start with the first question, the Vishwarupa of Krishna. You know, let's understand the context in which this whole dialogue was happening. It's not a, pravachan, like there was blood in the air. It was a war. It was in the middle of the war that this conversation is happening. And I think the terror of the Vishwarupa that Krishna showed, I think like Arjuna was terrified of it. Like he wanted Krishna to go back to his original roop, right? Because it was so terrifying. And I feel Gita, to me, my primary reading of it, it's filled with Rajasic Guna for me when I interpret it. And I feel like the primary, when Krishna talks about Nishkama Karma, right? I don't think the takeaway there is don't have expectations from the results, but be so devoted to your work, be so enamored in your work that the results don't matter at all. So it's that you want excellence out of it. You want whatever you do with so much of excellence that whether you succeed or you fail does not matter. You have given everything. That is, I feel, the celebration of desire is what it is. In fact, in the Rig Veda, in the Nasadiya Sukta, it says that the whole cosmos originated from desire. Before the gods existed, desire was there. And I feel like it is the message that Krishna is giving to Arjuna there. Like, don't have expectations of your actions, what is coming, but fundamentally see what your role is and, like nibhaofy that thing to the fullest of your ability. Now, when it comes to data visualization, I think, all of reality is a big terrorizing thing. Like, if you see all the violence that humanity has done, the kind of things is happening today itself in countries, right? It is terrifying. It is so scary. What data visualization or any analysis does is just creates a layer of it. No one can try to, capture the Vishwarupa in its truest form. But we are trying to create a model of it. It's almost like a simulation of it. And just like how comics, for example, can sometimes be more relatable, to people than actual human beings. Because when you simplify something, more people are able to relate with it, are able to abstractify it. Gita itself is like that. It is the distillation of all our knowledge of our Vedas, Shastras, Puranas. Everything gets distilled in Gita. My primary reading is the roles of Arjuna and Krishna are symbolic in nature. Right? Arjuna is your Indraputra. He's representing the Vedic culture, the Vedic lineage, all the Vedas. And here you have Krishna, who's coming from the Yadu tribe. He represents the east of India. It's the conversation between two cultures, major cultures of India. And what we get out of Gita is the distillation that all of us can relate with it. And I feel like, to answer your second question, the VR simulation through VR, are we getting closer to reality? I think VR is a kind of technology that is most direct, it is most literal in the sense that you are entering a simulation. It is honest about it, that you are entering a virtual simulation. But I think it's very different from what Krishna was telling to Arjuna. It is not that the world is simulation, but every state that you are in, every frame of mind that you are in, that itself can be an illusion essentially. The crux of Krishna's message, I feel, is Advaita Vedanta, where all of this is one thing. Like me speaking, you hearing, it is all part of that one thing that's just doing it. In that sense, you identify that I am Ashris or whatever your name is. That is an illusion. You are literally the universe just doing a dance, playing your character. So in that sense, I think virtual reality is honest, the most honest about this is a construct and you're entering a world where everything is a virtual simulation. But everything is a virtual reality in a way. Like the country we are living in, the world we are living in, it's all a sort of simulation. And if we just took you out and put you in the Mughal era or like in certain era, you would just like embrace it and you would start working on it. So maybe what you are identifying as yourself is not really you. It is just a circumstance, the place you were born, the thing you were born, and that is Krishna's central message, I feel. That everything that you think is real might also be another layer of the simulation. And that's my reading.
It was well put, the Neo-Advaita, how the virtual reality that we encounter and how in the case of Vishwarupa, though as Krishna points out that there are multiple destructions yet and multiple creations and all, but the narrative, we could not understand what Krishna is trying to tell from 1 to 9 chapter and 12th to 18th chapter, but one form could provide the concised version of Bhagavad Gita. So, how visual narrative works on that front, that was very well elaborated. Getting back to the point that you made, Mrs. Harini, is that there is something called in Bhagavad Gita Nishkama Karma, which means desireless action, literally translating. Now, today, particularly the 21st century and then 2020 onwards, post-COVID, there is a situation where we are embracing the new realities, political realities, social realities, cultural realities, particularly economic reality, where there is something called gig economy. I don't want to work for one particular organization. I want to work part-time for multiple organizations. It's not moonlighting. I just work for different organizations, freelance economy. And so there is nothing like particular in this. But in this gig economy, the entire nation building exercise is based on economic substance. If there is no economic substance, there is no contribution to nation building exercise. So at the end of the work, I expect some amount of incentive, bonus, and even that bonus does not only support me or my family, but it also supports the nation. Okay, so in such a scenario, how do you see that Nishkama Karma, if I am expected to work in the 21st century without expecting any bonuses or incentives or rewards, would it be practical, this Gita's thought process, would it be practical? Now, if I say, like for example, I am supposed to work in economic and commerce and trade and so on, but at the same time, if I call it selfless commerce, okay, it's almost an oxymoron, because even the corporates, they have to, they do corporate social responsibility and so on, and then there is something called public social responsibility, individual social responsibility. Now, in such economic structure, how do you see Gita's teachings for all of us who are employed elsewhere?
Fine. So, consolidating your two questions, for corporate systems and for people working in corporate, which is today more of like incentive based or bonus based, as he said, how do you bring Nishkama Yoga there? That was your question, right? Right. See, when I think I covered half of what I wanted to say in the first question itself, but then I would just double click on what he said also. While he was talking about data analysis, he just mentioned that desire is very important. I don't think Krishna said you have to avoid desire. Yes. Once there was a discussion in the royal court. Dharmaraja was there, Arjuna was there, Bhimasena was there, and Vidura was there. out of the four Purushartha, Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. I think you all know what the four are. So, which one is the superior? This was the question of Dharmaraja. Vidura said it is definitely Dharma. No, it is the Dharma on which everything stands. Then again it was Arjuna who said, no, it is Artha. You should have basic something for the entire world to function, right? So it is the Artha. Then it was again Dharmaraja who said, no, Moksha, destination is important. See, Dharma, Artha, Kama together what? It leads to Moksha. So Moksha is important. And that is when Bhimasena gives this most intellectual answer. He says, Kama is the superior most, I shouldn't use two superlatives, but Kama is the supreme among the four. We generally mistake this word Kama as something for lust. No. Kama translates to desire. A desire. A desire, if for an LKG student it can be a chocolate. A desire for someone else may be an incentive or something else. But the desire should be in a right intention at a right level. That is what Bhimasena says. If the person doesn't have desire, he will not even have the desire to go to moksha. If the person doesn't hold desire, he will not even hold the desire to do sadhana. Desire is not wrong. Having a desire is right. But the desire should have, the expectation or the desire should be at a very high level. See, at Nishkama Karma Yoga, Krishna doesn't advise to stop having expectations. Krishna says, have expectations which are very high. Udattavada expectations. Some expectations, if you have it, it should actually be at a long, it should be for a long days. It should be a long vision. That is what Krishna says. Now here, if we take the corporate world, which is too much based today on bonus and all, it is not wrong to expect a bonus. Akritva parasantapam agatva kalamandiram. I do not remember the next word of the Subhashita, but the Subhashita says that we have to earn in such a way that we should not harm others. We should earn in such a way that we should not go in the path of wrong people. We shouldn't do wrong things. We should not harm others. Sometimes it is not a wrong thing, but that thing may harm. So these two things. And also, if someone follows this and if he has an expectation, then that expectation is not wrong. Even if the expectation is very less, it's fine to have an expectation. But the expectation should never harm others. The expectation should never be in a wrong path. That was the message of the Subhashita. So, taking it, the words of Gita, I must win is one type of expectation. I must do well, be it in an exam or something, is another type of expectation. Gita suggests us, let's have an expectation. The expectation should be, I must do very well. Leave the phala to Bhagavanta, but I must do very well. Now, what does this intend? This brings us to the corporate world. This makes the corporate world very easy to function actually. I need an incentive, I need a bonus so that it helps my family. There is nothing wrong in it. For that, I would like to work hard. That intention is very good. But I need a bonus or incentive for which I am ready to do something which I should not do. Which I will be ashamed of to talk in a place where 4 other people are there. So when I say something wrong, I mean, you know when we have done wrong things, right? When we do something that is wrong, we will be ashamed to talk in front of others. So such when I am not doing and when I am doing right, it is okay to expect a bonus. There is no wrong in expecting it. And Gita never says that one shouldn't expect anything from anyone or anything. But the expectation should be within limits with a good intention. Moreover, if you see in the spiritual field, the question was based for the corporate field, so this is the answer. But this I would like to add on. As Gita is basically strongly a spiritual text, if you see, even in spirituality, Gita doesn't say that one shouldn't expect anything. Gita says, don't expect such things which will again put you in the bondage of this samsara, which will again put you in the bondage of this life and death. Gita says, expect moksha, expect something, expect the anugraha of Bhagavanta, expect jnana from Bhagavanta, expect his anugraha. All these are also expectations. Gita doesn't say to vomit expectations. It is only that Gita says, have expectations which are very high. For corporate field, it may be something else, and even for spiritual field, this applies. I think I didn't cover your second. I covered your second question also.
Yeah.
Fine.
So the way you put it is that it's Krishna is not telling that you don't expect, completely avoid expectations. Rather than he gives the directive for what to expect and what not to expect.
Yes, definitely.
And now the point of Krishna's entire discourse is to escape the karmic cycle of reincarnation, birth, pain, misery and so on. In the case of the digital world, is that whatever I am going to do next, even if I say it's like what I am going to click, what I am going to see, everything is actually programmed. So I am bound to do certain actions. So there is a tab on how I act with the digital world. So everything that it's already prejudged. Krishna says that your karma prejudges your action, your next, what you are going to do. Similarly, the pattern, even if I call it generative AI, it's going to, based on how the pattern exists, based on that it's going to put me in the bondage of the work and rework. In such a scenario, how does a digital native, a netizen, would claim their agency, their free will in the case of technology? And Arjuna suffered with this imposter syndrome. He was completely deprived of his self-confidence at the beginning of the battle, and he didn't know what to do. He was totally clueless, though he had learnt all. Now, if the entire social media is full of external validation, metric-based external validation by likes and views and so on, so how do you see you who's practicing this life would get influenced by Gita's teachings?
This is, I think, an excellent question and very relevant to, I think, all young people here. I think ma'am said the right thing, like have the right desire, have such a big desire that it does not put you back in the same loop. And I think that is something that is extremely relevant today. Like what is the right kind of desire? The social media wants you to value like likes, comments. These are the things that you should desire. How do I get more likes? How do I get more engagement? But just because something can be measured, should we optimize it? There's a law or in economics, as soon as you put a metric to something, right? Like you want to, let's say, optimize for wealth, right? Then we come up with a metric to measure it, like GDP. Now, as soon as we have a metric, all our attention goes into making that metric go up, whether by hook or crook. We just are focused on making the metric grow up, and then it defeats the whole purpose of measuring that thing. Because now you are focused not on, getting wealth or prosperity or booming or improving human life, but on increasing the fake metric. And I feel like we suffer something similar in today's times. We should see like the principle, the world goes in a pattern of Rita. Rita is the cosmic order. That is how it's taking care of our karmas, of our good or bad. But our algorithmic world, who is this algorithm serving? It is not serving some global, machine which is ensuring that everyone gives their best. These algorithms are run by corporates and corporate agencies. Arjuna had 18 Akshonis in front of him, right? Battalions. They could be numbered. You could number 18 of them. But today's young people, you can't even number who are your enemies. How many enemies are there? There are innumerable challenges in front of us that we can't even begin to name. from like the adulteration in your food to like, you know, what misinformation you're getting on the internet. So I feel like, you know, what ma'am had said, like put your desire above all these like metrics or all these things which basically corporates want you to follow so that you keep like a monkey churning work for them. Right? I think you should just see and expose the whole game. Your job as an artist or a young person is to put your life's work into this limited window of youth, of health that you have. Because very soon all of this goes away. Right? So the bigger game is not to become a puppet or a machine or an NPC basically, as the gamers say, non-playing character. You see, in those games there are just some characters who do nothing. They just like talk, they just say whatever. The aim is not to be that. And how to do it is also something we find in Gita. Start by noticing. Start by noticing what kind of emotions you are feeling. Start by noticing why you are acting a certain way that you are acting. Social media is designed for us to feel anger, to hit that reshare, repost, that sort of a button. And I think it is for young people today to see that, you know, it is profitable for these companies for us to be anxious, for us to feel scared, so that we keep looping, we keep looking for more content which feeds into our narrative. And the Gita is simply saying, notice all of it and just break it. Do not be a puppet, do not be an NPC, right? Krishna is telling Arjuna, like, look at the underlying meta thing of all of it and do not be carried away by the superficial emotions that you are feeling. And I think that is a message we young people can also see. Like, look at the meta structure of reality. Look at what role you are playing. Look at what is your purpose? And I feel like to answer the very first question sir had asked, like, what is the cure of depression, all these things, I feel purpose is the answer. Like, what is your purpose? Why were you made? Were you just made to eat, consume, and just like, even when you're creating content, is just getting that satisfaction like someone liked you? Is that what you are after? Is that a big enough desire? Why not desire something great? Why not want to be the next Tagore, next Kuvempu, next, you know, someone who's of those likes? And I think that will free us. That will give us a purpose. And because when you have that kind of aspiration, you know, all these small games that these corporates and all these systems that are there to trick us will no longer interest us. And I think that is the way you escape and get your freedom as a young person today.
So it was well said is that as Krishna presents Arjuna a choice to choose what you should choose and what you should not choose, you have to make a rational decision. Here you presented even the digital citizen should be careful in what they are going to deal with and how they are going to encounter it. We can continue this conversation very long, but there are many people present here and they might also be curious to ask the panelists one or two questions. So quick one or two questions and then a short response from the members on the yeah, please tell your name and then ask a quick question.
Namaste. My name is Harshita and I'm a psychologist, MSc Psychology. So when you said about Bhagavad Gita and psychology, correlation within that, I have a personal regret that I didn't study Bhagavad Gita in my childhood. Like now I am studying and I am learning more and more, but I have a regret that I didn't do it in my childhood so that it would have been better. My question is, now few people have a planning to implement Bhagavad Gita in their education system from the early age. But some of the people with the political agenda don't want to do that. And for the good cause also they have a political side then. Recently in Tamil Nadu, minor boys attacked on seniors. And Tamil Nadu, we have a government where Bhagavad Gita is like, no. In such situation, to do the betterment for the society, how can we use Bhagavad Gita as a mandatory equal to the Constitution of India?
Okay, whom your question is?
Anyone.
Oh, anyone.
This question is very nice. and I'm very happy that you have started learning Bhagavad Gita. I would advise children to have this in schools and colleges. I'm not very sure of the incident that you mentioned, but I do think it is the political agenda behind something that the government is avoiding. And I do think if that happens in house and in schools, and even the parent wants the child to learn Bhagavad Gita, today there are so many ways. Today in each and every place you can find teachers, authentic teachers who can teach Bhagavad Gita. The reason why I am saying is I too run a Gurukula. We have 300 plus students there. The moment I say today's class is 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. after the school, the child will say, I have tabla class. Okay, let's have it 6. No, I have piano class. No, I have. So you have time for everything, but not for Gita, then that's not right, right? So today children are from morning, from starting with abacus, then school to until night, there are so many classes that the children are attending. So at least take 2 days a week time, an hour time, so 2 hours a week, to make the children sit in some class where the teacher, today there are so many options, there are Zoom options, there are offline options also, where teachers are ready to teach Bhagavad Gita. I think that would be the correct way, because it's not us who can go and change the government. It was Yatha Raja Tatha Prajaha at that time, but today we are all the democracies for the people, of the people. So Yatha Prajaha Tatha Raja is actually what we have to admit today. So in that context, let's bring change in our homes, and we'll expect that the government changes. And I don't say that the government changes, the mentality of the government changes.
The next person, but please keep your question directly to the point.
Namaste, my name is Shreyas and I'm a MSc Biotechnology student. And this question is coming from maybe my background of being a Yakshagana artist and a theatre artist. So what I see nowadays is that Yakshagana being an art form just like a Harikatha or any satsang, that is a platform where we sing praises of the Lord and glorify the stories of the Lord. At the same time, we also have the other narrative being set in the modern theatre. Okay, the modern theatre being totally occupied and colonized by the left narrative. There is no parallel which can stand those narratives. So I see there is a lack of this thing, lack of Shatrubodha happening there, and that is happening only because there is no parallel narrative existing. So unfortunately, the students who are into modern theatre are becoming this kind of anti-Sanatana. So what I would ask, the question is, can we bring in these narratives of Shatrubodha and regarding the historical significance of Sanatana in modern times in the Harikatha satsangs or any of this neutral?
Sir, definitely it can be done. I'm very happy you asked the question. Recently there are so many collaborations happening with artists like Yakshagana, Kathakali artists, and along with the Katha, Pravachan, that's also happening. And we too had a stage in Vijayamala, our Gurukula, where I think a year back or 1.5 years ago, we did a collaboration with 4 artists to bring about the folk songs, which is today actually dying, literally dying. We have so much of rich culture. So we are doing collaborations and there are so many
but my
things
question, ma'am, that is very good, wonderful. My question is like, these things are happening, ma'am, to revive the art forms. My specific question is about the Shatrubodha, the narratives being built, so the counter narratives for that. Not just going directly to fight, to debunk the myths. So that aspect is very lacking in our forms of theatre, in the the Sanatana forms of theatre. It's just about the Ramayana, Krishna, and everything, debunking these myths. So
can I take it
yeah,
up?
please,
Yes,
please.
yes, definitely.
Yes, elaborate.
So I think I'll combine both of your questions. I think like you also, I did not grow up reading the Gita. I actually was like the angsty teenager who would be like, like all of this is like just nonsense, like we should read like Western scholars and whatnot. And I feel we need to address this. It's very important. And all the Gen Z, like I think it's a good question you asked, like all the Gen Z are there. We are also, young people are more drawn towards like things which are contrarian to traditions because it makes you feel. And I think the heart of it, of Shatrubodha, is like at its core, go to its deep. Do not hate people at the surface for disagreeing with you. I think listen to what they are getting at the crux of it. I'll tell you my major issue which I had with Gita, for example, right? I'll tell you with a friend of mine what he said. So he identified as a gay person, as a queer person. And his rationale was, maybe I had done past life my sins, and which is why I'm probably born like this. I will do good karma here, so next life I'll be born as a normal person. Now you can see how extrapolating this into other things, you could say that maybe I'm disabled, maybe I'm short skinned, maybe I'm like, ill skinned because of karma things. I don't know, I don't have the answer for it. Maybe I should learn it from experts, but I feel like something saying like because of the past you were a certain way, you should suffer and you should not rebel. Maybe your dharma should be to challenge things, right? Maybe your dharma should be to, question and get to the deeper things of it. So I feel like a healthy disagreement promotes only discussion. And sometimes when we don't hate people just because they are different, but that encourages to go deeper into our own culture and find the answers ourselves, it makes for the whole society better. So I feel like the Shatru Bodha, the bad way to do it is to just send message like hate them, they are not like you, kill them. The good way of Shatru Bodha is to really ask where are they coming from, what are they attacking, and if it seems like an attack, what should our response be? And that facilitates an intercultural, intergenerational dialogue, which is, I think, the strength of this country, that so many different cultures, so many different experiences, and yet we forge an identity together, and that has only happened through disagreements and dialogue. So I think that's it.
Thank you.
Dandavat Pranam to all the scholars on the stage. My name is Gautam at Mangalore, and I have a couple of nephews and niece. So my question is, how do I engage them? Because generally in schools and colleges, nobody teaches about spirituality or the future anxieties of life. Since I come from a corporate background, the problems which I feel in the future would be, as they grow old, they will have a lot of problems. So how do we address this issue? So the question is for both of you.
Bring to our Harikatha. Bring them to our Harikatha. Seriously, now, today there are so many speakers, not just me. There are so many speakers who have changed the perspective of the old style of how Upanyasams or Pravachan used to be. And today there are so many concepts being used in the Harikatha and Upanyasam where we engage the young audience, where we try to make them feel okay, they are also a part of the art, rather than just we sitting and speaking here and they may be sleeping or listening. We are trying a lot to make this. Even in recently, one of my friend who is also a great Upanyasam artist, he started to, for the past 20 years he has been doing Upanyasam and is very famous for it. Now he has started to do it with slideshows and all. So all these have attracted the younger people, which I think so. Because rather than it's only the one speaker having and the people watching it, so many parts of it have been brought through screens and all. So there are ways being happening. But if you would like to add on something to bring them to...
Yeah, my experience is that like young people today, the generation, they're hungry for knowing about their roots. And we are all feeling this void. The more we get Western, we are na idhar ke na udhar ke, sort of like, who are we? Is the kind of question, and young people today want to know these answers. The YouTube channel that I have has 6 lakh young people following, and they're not watching reels, there are no cat videos, these are like hour-long videos on like scriptures, on Vedas, and so I feel like every generation has the responsibility to interpret and reinterpret their texts in their own ways, and it will start with a small flame, but I think as long as we do a justice in always presenting it in a modern language, in a modern visual language, something that people are already accessible with, I think that dialogue will, continue to happen.
And I would like to add on one thing. If you want to build something or if you want to add something to your children, be it your niece, I think the first responsibility lies in the hands of parents. because they become the first teachers. If they start to practice very small rituals and try to understand the meanings and they explain it, so generally the children are actually very inquisitive. They ask so many questions. Even when you take my child, she doesn't stop asking questions. So automatically through questions, through parents, children learn more. So I think to build a lot on students, the first step to start is with the parents. If the home has that spiritual atmosphere, then definitely the children will start to have an interest on Sanatana Dharma. It's something I feel.
I just want to add one point is that you are pointing out at a very different generation, that's Gen Alpha. See, we have to understand it. There are two responses to your question. Is that one is that anything becomes prescriptive, people will not do it. Anything you tell them to do it, like Upadesha, no one will do it. Even we will not do it. The only way to do it, as she responded, is to practice it. If you look at the story of Prahlada, he did not tell them, you do this, you do that. He just did it. So unless we do, people will not emulate our ideals. So this is one response. The second response is that, as he pointed out, is that there is a language of communication. How do you present to newer world? So we are not the same as our ancestors were. So there is a huge world, diverse world, and we have to present it in such a way that they can understand it. It has to be communicated to them. Communication is a two-way process. So you have to speak to them in their language rather than the way we want them to understand it. So any other questions, if there are any?
Check.
Just regarding Shatrubodha, that I want to just add one more thing. This no Sanatana Dharma. Earlier also, you have told about Prahalada. Hiranyakashipu was the big Shatru, was Sanatana Dharma. Hiranyaksha also was the big Shatru of Sanatana Dharma, who has destroyed the Yoga Yajnas, science and all. So this was the Shapa from Vishnu to Jaya Vijaya. Okay, God only created Shatru, Sanatanis and against of them. So all those things, if you think this is the drama of God, created by God, so we can enjoy the life, I think.
Okay, so the time is up. So I extend my sincere gratitude to both the panelists for presenting their thoughts in a very short span of time and addressing most of the questions that asked by me and my fellow people here. So thank you for taking your time and coming to this event. So I hope you enjoyed this session. So thank you.
We truly enjoyed this session, having a wonderful audience.
Thank you,
and
audience.
all.
Thank you, everyone.
And we thank all the people who are behind the screens and the organizers for arranging this session. So, thank you.